Wilson and La Follette, they perfectly encapsulated parts of progressivism and the essential parts of progressivism. First, Wilson, he his address focused on progressives' desire to create an ordered world, to create an ordered country, a country that um, it existed to further social justice, to um, to provide the economic leveling that had not existed in the Gilded Age. And so part of his argument isn't simply about peace and order, it's also about the economics of war and that those economics could disrupt the economics of America. And he was concerned and tried to inform Americans how German U boats and German actions were threatening the economics of America, their lives, their economics, their jobs. And so he was so those things were part of sort of progressive ideals, the consistencies of economies, the ordered and peaceful existence of people within America. This is what progressives were about, creating order. Um, on the other side, La Follette also was representing progressive ideals. The ideals he was representing was the sort of direct input of voters. He was advocating, much like he had done in his own state of Wisconsin, direct democracy, the right of public opinion to move governments. And he said, well, you shouldn't be going to war because the people aren't with you. And there's a lot of people that don't want to go to war, and people voted for Wilson because he said he would keep them out of war. And so La Follette was sort of like, "Hey, a minute ago you were like, let's don't go to war, and now we're going to war. Um, you should not move if that's not what people want." Um, and this is, always at play in politics: the difference between public opinion about something um, and and the necessity of politics to move beyond public opinion. It's not always the case that the public knows exactly the right decisions to make, which is why we don't live in a direct democracy. We live in a republic. We live in a government with a government in which legislatures are supposed to do that work for us. They're supposed to know the facts, and we vote for people who theoretically support our values and therefore act with those values in mind. um, uh, when so we can see a few things in the war. I just want to touch on them, and then that's it. Um, Wilson starts and ends the war in the same place. He's looking for long-term peace, and he's looking to construct organizations, global organizations that will help keep that peace and keep America from having to go to a war again. And so this is why he creates the League of Nations. But he's fighting against conservatism, which worries about the sovereignty of America being uh, affected by global alliances, by these global treaties. And so he finds that he can't get this passed, many of the things passed, because conservatives don't want to do those things. And in this moment, we can see what is a growing divide emerging between progressivism and the impulse of progressivism and conservatism. And this fight will be the focus of of this class moving forward to the end. That what we're going to look at as we move forward is we're going to look at this contest between progressivism and conservatism. because progressivism was really making this move at the end of the 19th century and into the 20th century, but it was continually fighting against these sort of conservative forces that wanted to go back to the Gilded Age, that wanted to go back to a zero regulation, uh, uh, dog eat dog, social Darwinist world. But we can see at the tail end the problems that progressives were trying to solve, but were having trouble getting to the end of. So progressives, the sort of closing efforts of progressivism was to create this world order, but to create an economic order that helped workers, that helped regular people. Um, but the conservative impulse was still there. And we can see that when the war ends. So when the war ends, um, white men coming back from the war, they want their jobs back. And those jobs have been filled by women and minorities, African Americans primarily. African Americans have also moved north in this great migration, and they are now living in big cities, and they're living near white people in the north. And and it creates this tremendous backlash, which is known as the Red Summer of 1919. And this leads to riots across America for about 5 years. So it may look like, oh, this happened, it was a riot, and then that was it. No, it was very long. It was a long arc of white supremacists attempting to diminish the advancements of African Americans. Um, and I don't think this is unusual in American history. I think we are living through it contemporaneously, that the anger of white men has reemerged, and we are seeing that cycle again as it happens. And one thing that we'll look at as we move forward in this class is how this cycle just keeps happening over and over again. Every incremental move of minority groups, whether it's women or LGBTQ or African Americans or Hispanics or Asians, is always met with a backlash. Um, and so in the next module, we'll look at that backlash.